You've been hearing that the new Braunfels market is on fire. And while that's true, there's a lot of problems that come from that. Look, I do a lot of videos on where the market is. I really want to do a video right now on the best places to live in New Braunfels or the best builders in New Braunfels, but I keep running into this brick wall. Every time I do research, every time I have to take a step back and look at this whole thing from a distance. And honestly, I can't tell you everything is hunky-dory and just leave it at that. It's not. We have massive issues in New Braunfels, whether you're buying or whether you're selling. So we have to talk about these issues right now so you're able to navigate them going forward. So here's the issue. We have next to no inventory in New Braunfels. Builders stopped building at the start of the pandemic, but now all their inventory is gone. They want to continue to build, but there's been a huge increase in lumber prices and causing the prices of new builds to rise. Look, I can stand here and tell you everything is sunshine and lollipops. That buyers are paying over list price for homes. They're waiving their appraisals, and that sounds great if you're a seller, but there are some real issues there because when a buyer waives their appraisal and if the appraisal doesn't come back at value, that buyer has to stick their hand in their pocket, pull out the money and make up the difference. So if you're the seller accepting that waived appraisal and that higher price, and you plan on moving to the same area, you're going to be paying higher prices too. So that's another reason there's hardly any inventory in New Braunfels. Sellers who really want to sell, they can't sell because they can't find another home in their budget because values continue to rise. And they might say, that's okay, I'll rent. But think about it, if purchase prices are going up, rentals are going up as well. Listen, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some good tips on how to navigate this market, so stay tuned for that. But we really have to cover these points. If you're a buyer in this market, you're facing multiple offers. Or let's say you're a first-time home buyer and you decide to purchase a home that's been on the market a long time. That typically means that house has been overpriced or has issues or both. So not only are you buying at the top of the market, but you're taking in somebody else's issues as well. Look, a lot of people move to New Braunfels for a lot of good reasons. We have great schools here, the ultra active outdoor lifestyle we have, the rivers, the parks, the shopping, the restaurants, you name it. Folks are moving here from cities as close as Austin and San Antonio because they don't want to deal with the traffic there anymore, or they don't want to deal with the higher taxes there anymore. And people are moving from California and other states to South Central Texas for the same reasons. Austin and San Antonio are short drives away. You just get more bang for the buck, more value living in New Braunfels. And that's why our market is on fire. But that's a problem. And the biggest problem we're facing is higher property taxes. Now, full disclosure here, New Braunfels property taxes are still among the lowest in South Central Texas, given all the amenities you have here. But the property taxes are still rising. All these homes selling above list price are causing values to go high. Even if you're not buying in this market and you're just staying put, let's say, your property taxes are assessed at a higher rate because home values continue to rise. Look, it's great that Texas has no income tax. That's fantastic. But that property tax is where they make their money. In New Braunfels in 2020, we've lost millions of dollars here because of canceled events, canceled festivals, shut down river parks. And we're talking about 2 million visitors to New Braunfels every year. That's in excess of $700 million more to the local economy. So when that number gets hit, that's a lot of lost tax revenue. And when that happens, they're coming after homeowners. And I'm here to tell you that home values may go higher and not lower. Are these high values sustainable? And should you buy a house now or maybe wait until the market dips to buy a house? We talked about the inventory in New Braunfels being really low. The other catalyst is because the economy is hurting so much that the Federal Reserve decided to lower their rate down to near zero. They do that to stimulate the economy, which helps businesses, but it also helps the real estate market because then mortgage rates are lower. So you're essentially able to afford more house while keeping your monthly payment low. So low inventory, lower mortgage rates is really what's driving these housing prices to go up and up. You may be asking, why would I want to buy a house at the top of the market when prices are higher? And the answer to that is because your monthly mortgage payment is lower than it would have been 12 months ago. Your monthly mortgage payment is more important than how much the house is. Lower mortgage rates, lower monthly payment means you're able to afford more house. So how long can these interest rates continue to stay low? The Federal Reserve has come out and said that they're going to keep their lending rates to banks at near zero until at least 2023, and it could be longer than that. So we go back to the question, should you buy a house now or should you wait? Well, if you were to buy a house 12 months ago, you should still buy a house today. Your monthly mortgage payment is going to be cheaper than it was 12 months ago. And if you're worried about, hey, are these higher values and higher prices going to be sustainable? Let's just take a quick look at New Braunfels year over year since March, just a few months ago. The average home value was $245,000. Fast forward through September of 2020, average home value is $280,000, from $245,000 to $280,000, and that's without a market crash, that's without a market correction, and that's during a global pandemic. So if you bought a house at that average home value in New Braunfels in March, you now have $30,000 to $35,000 equity in your home. It's extremely hard to predict where the real estate market is going to be in the short-term future. But what I can confidently say is that 30 years from now, I'm extremely confident that your home value will be much higher than it is today. At 20 years, I'm extremely confident that your home value will be much higher than it is today. At 10 years, I'm extremely confident it'll be much higher. At 5 years, I'm extremely confident it'll still be much higher than it is today. At 2 years, I'm pretty confident your home value is going to be much higher than it is today. But a year and 6 months out, it's extremely hard to predict because there's an X factor in all of this. And that X factor is, hey, what's the government going to do here? What are the politicians going to do? I'm sure by now, most of us may have been expecting more than one stimulus check, but 9 months into this, and we've gotten only one $1,200 stimulus check. So what the government does is going to be a huge catalyst in all of this. So what's the government going to do? That's just really hard to predict right now, especially given the climate we're in. But like I said, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, I'm extremely confident that your home value will be much, much higher than it is today. So how do you navigate, if you're a buyer, how do you navigate through this market? Here are the tips. Number one, get your finances in order. Get your pre-approval right away. And for the love of you know what, do not use an out-of-state lender. Please use a local lender. Local lenders are required to know all of the forces that impact the local market. So a local lender is going to best help you through this process. If you get into a multiple offer situation and you have that out-of-state lender, here's what's going to happen. The agent is required to show your offer to the seller, all offers to the seller. What that agent may say is, look, we have this offer with an out-of-state lender. We just don't want to deal with these people. There's going to be issues. It just happens. Same thing if you have a big bank lender. Same thing, it just happens that way. A few other tips. If you have to sell your house in order to buy the next one, make sure it's under contract and make sure it's sold before you start shopping. Here's the problem if you don't. If you get into a multiple offer situation with a contingency to sell your house in order to buy their house, it's going to be cast aside because sellers are looking for the path of least resistance. They don't want anything holding up the sale of their house. So get your ducks in a row and make sure your financing is together. This is reality. It's not gloom and doom. You just have to work with an agent and make sure you have a good plan in place and also understand the process. That's going to help you the most. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch more of my content on real estate and living in New Braunfels, make sure you click, comment, and subscribe.